As Ole Gunnar Solskjaer stood lamenting on the manner of Man United's shock Champions League exit at the hands of RB Leipzig, there were a lot of accusatory looks from all over the world directed towards Paul Pogba. The France international returned to the club almost 4 years ago and was apparently seen as the man who would guide the team back to their glory days. The moment he arrived, many expected Pogba to realise his true potential and become one of the finest midfielders of his generation. Indeed, the form he showcased for Juventus begged belief that United's gamble was absolutely worth it. However, truth be told, we've never seen any sort of consistency from the World Cup winner. Pogba has struggled for form and fitness in the last 2 years and doesn't look like a player who any manager would rely upon on a consistent basis. When on song, Pogba is the most destructive force of nature. However, when he's not himself, the 27-year-old tends to make some really stupid decisions. On top of that, the player comes with a baggage which includes his outspoken agent Mino Raiola. The super agent is as notorious as they come, always looking to secure the next big payday for his many clients. In the last 2 years, Raiola has constantly weighed in on his client's future at the club and has also said many times how leaving Old Trafford is something that's an eventuality which will come to pass. Raiola has been going back and forth with the club, criticising it whenever he gets a chance. He even managed to irk Solskjaer, who's now adopted a policy of not responding.
And that's probably maybe the last thing I'll say about that. I don't want to spend energy on that.
Clearly, this agent is not worth anyone's time but his clients'. Agents tend to do that. They're always looking out for the interest of their players, seeking better moves and making sure that they're well catered for. However, the path that Raiola has taken is not going to do him or his client any good. Man United headed into their final group game of the Champions League, knowing that only a point would be enough to see them qualify to the knockout stages of the competition. And after dismantling Julian Nagelsmann's side 5-0 at home, many expected that the Red Devils would not make a huge deal out of it. But, as you know, as long as you have a player like Pogba and a selfish agent like Raiola around, you're never far away from some sort of issue. While speaking to Italian publication Tutto Sport, Raiola revealed that his client is no longer happy at the club and that he needs a change of scenery. "I can say that it's over for Paul Pogba at Man United." He added, Paul is unhappy with Man United as he's no longer able to express himself in the way that he would like, and as he is expected to. Paul needs a new team, a change of air. He's under contract for the next 18 months and it will expire in the summer of 2022. The France international's body language also seems to suggest that he's simply biding his time at the club and just wants to be done with his contract. We've been here before with Raiola, but the timing of these statements was poor to say the least. As the squad was preparing for their biggest game of the season, they could have done without such a stupid and irresponsible statement. Ahead of the game, Solskjaer needed to see a modicum of togetherness and fight from his team. He expected the team's most high-profile player to show some sort of maturity and keep a leash on his controversial agent. However, it appears that Pogba doesn't give two hoots about the club that pays his wages. Yes, there have been issues at the club, but could you blame Manchester United fans for the way their star player has been acting? Now, many people would say that it probably isn't Pogba's fault that his agent went on to talk about the player's future ahead of the game in Germany. However, don't you think that Pogba could have done more? At the very least, he could have made a sincere effort to distance himself from such statements. Who is running the show at the moment? Is it Pogba or Raiola? Less than 48 hours before Raiola's poisonous statements, Pogba declared that he's a team player and it was important for him to see the team do well. United chose not to comment on Raiola's comments, which are becoming a periodical affair. But we're certain that the club's hierarchy won't be happy with this latest bit that put the club in a very awkward position. Back in 2018, ahead of the Manchester derby, Pep Guardiola revealed that Mino Raiola offered him the chance to sign Pogba. There have been quite a lot of instances where the agent has stepped out of line. Raiola always seems to do these things. It is his modus operandi, making controversial statements and forcing a club's hand. We're certain that as long as he's representing them, the likes of Erling Haaland and Matthijs de Ligt could also see their reputations go down the drain. But the Pogba drama is the winner here. No manager or club wants to deal with the baggage that comes with Pogba. The Frenchman's contract expires in 2022, and though there's been talk of an extension, would it actually make any kind of sense? The only reason United used the one-year contract extension option is because it would be too embarrassing to allow such an expensive acquisition to leave for free, and Raiola is definitely going to play hardball when it comes to negotiating new terms. He might be a super agent, but even Raiola would struggle to find a buyer for his client. Real Madrid have been chasing the midfielder for quite some time, but Los Blancos have their own financial issues to take care of due to the ongoing pandemic. Zinedine Zidane is eager to sign Pogba, but we're not sure if they can finance the move next summer. Juventus seems to be another possible destination, and the Bianconeri could make their move if the stars align. At present, Ronaldo's wages make up for the bulk of the club's overall wage bill. The Italians are looking to offload the legendary forward, and if that happens next summer, they might have enough funds to make such a move. However, even then, United are likely to let go of their player while taking a financial hit in terms of his valuation. Due to his form and fitness concerns, coupled with the global situation, no club would be willing to pay €100 million. Plus, there are now better options on the market. Eduardo Camavinga, for instance, is seen as a more evolved version of the United star. This youngster is in great form, he has a lot of potential and doesn't really have any off-field issues to worry about. But then again, why should United look at keeping a player who doesn't want to stay anyway? Bruno Fernandes arrived at Old Trafford last January, and the Portugal international has done more for the club in 11 months than Pogba has in 4 years. In fact, the midfielder is a focused individual and has thrived under all sorts of circumstances. There's been a lot of discussion over Pogba's best position. In the early days of his second coming at Old Trafford, the Frenchman was positioned in a wide variety of midfield roles. He was used as a defensive midfielder by Jose Mourinho for a long time, but under Solskjaer, he was given a lot of chances to play in a role that would amplify his best attributes. That hasn't happened either. In fact, quite a few signings Man United made in the past were made to help Pogba. Fred was bought from Shakhtar to free him up. Bruno Fernandes was signed and seen as a perfect foil to the Frenchman. With such a great support cast, Pogba was expected to do well, but that clearly hasn't and isn't happening. It made all the right sense in the world when Solskjaer benched Pogba for the game against Leipzig. Without him, the midfield was missing some bite, but then again, how much difference would it have made if he'd started the game? Upon his introduction, Pogba scored a goal that gave his team a glimmer of hope, but overall he didn't really make much of a difference in what turned out to be another hopeless night in Europe for the Red Devils. Gary Neville believes that eventually Pogba has to go. Ed Woodward has been trying to hold on to his prized marketing asset, but the fact is that Pogba is never going to be the man who would revive the club's ailing fortunes. Ultimately, the inevitable is going to happen, and Pogba has to leave United. The sooner you get rid of players like Pogba, players who don't want to be there, in a dressing room that's thinking about the long term with energy and that vision of maybe going to win something, you have to sieve out the weeds. At the moment, Pogba needs to get out of that dressing room, and that would suit everyone at United and Pogba as well. To date, he's only made 8 Premier League appearances this season and only 5 have been starts. The timing of Raiola's comments was disgusting, but it's not as if Man United didn't know who they were dealing with. Clubs with the history of Manchester United should not be taking hits from agents who are only looking out for the next big payday. The first time when Raiola made a controversial statement about the club, they should have dealt with that situation then and there. However, the management's inability or weakness to take a stand has made their position very awkward, and even more so, their managers, who's pretty much always close to getting the sack. This also brings to question Harry Maguire's ability to lead the team. Being the club captain, the Englishman should be taking Pogba to the side and telling him to either put a lid on his agent or change him. But hey, was Maguire ever worthy of leading this club? All in all, this whole episode has been a really bad one for the club. On top of that, they're back in the Europa League, a competition they deserve to play in based on their form. Pogba, on the other hand, continues to be a problem, and Solskjaer or no Solskjaer, he needs to go.